Ah, Europe. A wonderful continent of cultures connected by train, full of people with honest-to-God vacation days they can use to go out and enjoy it all. At least that's what I thought when I moved here from the US over 6 years ago. My god, I can't believe it's been more than 6 years. Yikes. So is any of that true? Or was I just hallucinating from a massive dose of the grass is greener complex? Inspired by a video from Eva Zu Beck on how she sees the US as a European after 6 months in the country, I thought I could share how I see Europe as an American after 6 years of living in Germany. Let's start with why I moved to Europe, which gets to what I expected from Europe. Mainly, I simply thought I'd enjoy living in Europe more than in the United States, which is a little bonkers because I started having this thought when I was in college and I had yet to visit Europe. But I had seen pictures of trains and heard wonderful tales of all these trains that go across the continent and how that's a completely normal thing to do. Even as far back as my college days, I was already becoming, let's say, not a big fan of American car culture. I wanted to live someplace where it wasn't weird not only not to own a car, but also to simply not want to ever own a car. And yeah, I know in some ways I'm describing New York City, but are you gonna pay my rent? No, didn't think so. Besides, living in New York City wouldn't offer me my second expectation from living in Europe, which was better vacation days. Or as they call it here, holiday. Oh, I'm going on holiday. Oh, sorry, I can't take that meeting. I'm going to be on holiday. Or I guess here in Germany it's im Urlaub, but you get the picture. So that's the gist of what I expected from Europe. I expected to be able to comfortably walk places, to be able to take trains and public transit, and to take vacation more regularly and have more freedom to travel. And so, dear viewer, we have reached the moment of truth. Has reality met my expectations? Well, yeah, it kinda has. In fact, in some ways it's been better than I expected. In general, I'm just less stressed here. For example, workers' rights are generally much stronger here. I'm not worried about losing my job on a whim. And if I do lose my job, I can go collect unemployment and it's not a big deal. And of course the United States has unemployment as well, but there's this aura of shame attached to losing your job and going out to collect unemployment that simply does not exist here. Here, if you collect unemployment, they just tell you that's your money, you paid into the system, and you're simply taking your money out. No big deal. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Although I still don't necessarily understand the intricacies of the German healthcare system and the healthcare systems of other countries, I'm not scared to get sick here. Generally speaking, I'm not worried about something happening and then suddenly getting this massive bill that I'll never be able to pay back. And overall, I'm much more confident living in Europe. I can walk around knowing that the laws generally favor pedestrians over drivers and that there's much harsher penalties against reckless drivers. And if I need to, I can stick up for myself and not worry about if somebody's got a gun. I have a visceral memory from Cleveland where I had ironically left a meeting where we were advocating for more bike lanes in the city, and while walking back, I was crossing an intersection where I had the right of way, and a car came zooming out and almost hit me. I yelled and flailed my arms, whatever you do when you're angry, and a car almost hits you. That car sped away, turned down a side street, and went all the way back, and by this time I had basically forgotten about the incident. It had circled all the way back just to get into our side of the street, roll down the window, and yell something at me. And I kind of thought in that moment, I'm glad he just yelled at me and didn't have a gun. And that was something that kind of stuck with me, that maybe I shouldn't yell so much at the drivers because I don't know what they've got in their car. And that was something that I had to do quite a bit when I was living in the US, going through the pedestrian crossings and the cars don't acknowledge it and they almost hit you. I've yelled at many a car in my day and slammed many a trunk. Not to brag or anything. And here, yeah, I've had a few incidents where I'm like, what a dumb driver, but im Großen und Ganzen, I feel much safer here walking around and like I can stick up for myself. Of course, none of this is to say that life is easy in Europe. And it goes without saying, though I'll say it anyway because this is the internet where nobody gets the benefit of the doubt, that I'm speaking exclusively to my experience, flavored with some anecdotes from my fellow Americans who've lived in Europe. And for me, life is easier than it was in the United States. Oh, and the extra vacation thing is definitely true. Honestly, only 2 weeks a year? That is inhumane. Who could possibly go back to that? It's like tasting the finest sushi in Tokyo and then going back and eating the stuff that's wrapped in plastic at the convenience store. No thanks, I'll pass. Have your thoughts on living in the United States or Europe as a foreigner changed? Leave a comment below and let me know. Now I have plenty of other thoughts on what I love about living in Europe and what I don't love so much, and maybe I'll talk about those in another video. In the meantime, go check out why Germany is the best place to move to in Europe. The answer may surprise you.